Okay, welcome back guys for another video, taking a look at chapter 19, and we can think about this chapter as mainly to do with Tom Robinson's testimony. So you notice the chapters are basically divided up. 17, 18, 19, you got Bob Ewell, Mayella Ewell, then Tom Robinson's testimony. So try to cover this testimony, some important things, and then maybe a bit of the next chapter in this video. We'll see if we get there. So initial description of Tom coming up to the stand. You got to swear on a Bible, put your hand on the Bible. Thomas Robinson reached around, ran his fingers under his left arm, and lifted it. He guided his arm to the Bible, and his rubber-like left hand sought contact with the black binding. As he raised his right hand, the useless one slipped off the Bible and hit the clerk's table. He was trying again when Judge Taylor growled, "That'll do, Tom." Tom took the oath and stepped into the witness chair. Atticus very quickly induced him to tell us. Well, okay, so imagine if this was a Bible. You're supposed to put your left hand on the Bible like this and raise your right hand and swear. But he can't even keep his left hand like resting on the Bible because it's like totally useless and falls off and has no control. So this is clearly physical evidence of innocence. No one in the courtroom can really believe he did it because Mayella's face was beat up on the right side of her face. It would have been impossible for Tom to hit her on that side of the face, naturally speaking. To be strangling her and beating her, you need two hands, right? So anyway, that's a little introduction to the whole issue of his physical damage. And now we come to Tom's motivation. And we're going to see a bit about why did he help her. Okay, so why did you go inside the fence lots of times? Tom Robinson's forehead relaxed. She'd call me in, sir. Seemed like every time I passed by yonder, she had something little for me to do. Chopping kindling, toting water for her. She watered them red flowers every day. Were you paid for your services? No, sir. Not after she offered me a nickel for the first time. I was glad to do it. Mr. Ewell didn't seem to help her none, and neither did the chillun. And I know she didn't have no nickels to spare. All right, so again, we have a dialect kind of accent of English. Keep that in mind. You know, the author is trying to write literally the word sounds the way that people from that area would talk. So chillin', you know, it's not chillin' and hanging out, it's children. Okay, so keep an eye for the sound, but the spelling is weird. Where were the other children? They was always around all over the place. They'd watch me work, some of them sat in the window. Would Miss Mayella talk to you? Yes, sure. She talked to me. So, children saw Tom Robinson working there. He would just help her because she had no one else to help her do stuff. As Tom Robinson gave his testimony, it came to me that Mayella Ewell must have been the loneliest person in the world. She was even lonelier than Boo Radley, who had not been out of the house in 25 years. So, this is a very sad case, Mayella's situation. Okay, so he had gone on the property a number of times to help her with stuff. Now comes to the day of the incident okay, which is supposedly when he tried to rape her, which obviously we know is not true. And what happened was, I say, where are the children? Chillin', he continued. And she says, she was laughing sort of, she says they all gone to town to get ice creams. She says, took me a slap year to save 7 nickels, but I done it. They all gone to town. Tom's discomfort was not from the humidity. What did you say then, Tom? Asked Atticus. Said something like, why, Miss Mayella, that's right smart of you to treat 'em. And she said, you think so? I don't think she understood what I was thinking. I meant it was smart of her to save like that, and nice of her to treat them. So what did she do? She saved money for 1 year. She had a plan to get enough money to send all the kids to town to buy ice cream so she could be completely alone with Tom. She was waiting for her chance, okay? And she did it. And so what's Mayella's motive here? She's not trying to trick Tom at this point. He's a big, strong young guy, and he walks by her house all the time, and she has nobody. She's totally alone, and her father is abusive, alcoholic, rageaholic maniac, molesting her and abusing her. So it's natural for her to desire someone who's nice, right? Well, Tom he's a mockingbird, right? He does kind things, only good for her. He's a mockingbird. He's nice to her. So maybe she likes him. But that's forbidden in that society. You can't do that. Okay? Let's move down a bit. Now, comes time for Mr. Gilmer, the prosecuting lawyer, to have his turn to question Tom. You're a mighty good fellow, it seems. Did all this for not 1 penny? Yes, sir, I felt right sorry for her. She seemed to try more than the rest of them. You felt sorry for her? You felt sorry for her? Mr. Gilmer seemed ready to rise to the ceiling. The witness realized his mistake and shifted uncomfortably in the chair, but the damage was done. Below us, nobody liked Tom Robinson's answer. Mr. Gilmore paused a long time to let it sink in. This is really important. This is Tom's big mistake. Okay? It shames the white community. Because if they are supposedly superior to the blacks, how could Tom feel pity for Mayella? She's supposed to be better than him. All white people are supposed to be better than all black people, but clearly Tom is a worker. He has a clean home, and he's a clean guy. He's kind and gentle. And now he said he felt sorry for her, and everybody gets offended by that. Nobody likes that answer because it's the lowest person in the society. You know, if you think of the hierarchy of society, I mean, technically, the black people are supposed to be way down below everything. You know, so if this is the Ewells, And this is maybe Cunningham's. And then you got, you know, the Finches way up here or whatever. Okay, this person is not supposed to feel bad for anybody above, but he does. Okay, he has pity for Mayella. That's why he's helping her. So that's a crucial mistake. Everybody doesn't like that. The jury doesn't like that. They're all, you know, offended by that. And so the kids kind of get angry about how Mr. Gilmore is talking to Tom. That old Mr. Gilmore doing him that away, talking so hateful to him. Dill, that's his job. Why, if we didn't have prosecutors, well, we wouldn't have defense attorneys, I reckon. Dill exhaled patiently. I know all that, Scout. It was the way he said it made me sick. Plain sick. Okay, so Dill gets really upset and disgusted. Right? He kind of senses something's wrong with the whole situation. And so they take a break and they go outside and they encounter Dolphus Raymond. And now we're going to get a little episode with the two kids, but especially Dill. Dill was getting angry and disgusted. And they go outside and he's saying, it just makes you sick, doesn't it? He got really disgusted. And they go outside and here's Dolphus Raymond coming along talking to them. Come on around here, son. I got something that'll settle your stomach. As Mr. Dolphus Raymond was an evil man and I accepted his invitation reluctantly, but I followed Dill. Somehow, I didn't think Atticus would like if we became friendly with Mr. Raymond, and I knew Aunt Alexandra wouldn't. Here, he said, offering Dill his paper sack with straws in it. Take a good sip, it'll quieten you. Dill sucked on the straws, smiled, and pulled at length. He, said Mr. Raymond, evidently taking delight in corrupting a child. So he's supposed to have whiskey in that bag, remember? Dill, you watch out now, I warned. Dill released the straws and grinned. Scout, it's nothing but Coca-Cola. So he's got pop in the bag, not whiskey. He's drinking pop, Coke. Mr. Raymond sat up against the tree trunk. He had been lying on the grass. You little folks won't tell on me now, will you? It'd ruin my reputation if you did. You mean all you drink in that sack's Coca-Cola, just plain Coca-Cola? Yes, ma'am, Mr. Raymond nodded. I like to smell. It was of leather, horses, cottonseed. He wore the only English riding boots I had ever seen. That's all I drink most of the time. So here we see his wealth. He's got fancy leather boots. He smells nice, like cottonseed, leather, and horses. Those are all expensive. Then you're just pretend you're half, she means half drunk. I beg your pardon, sir, I caught myself. I didn't mean to be. Mr. Raymond chuckled, not at all offended, and I tried to frame a discreet question. Why do you do like that? So why are you pretending? He's pretending, faking, lying, okay, avoiding conflict. So he pretends to be drunk all the time, even though he's not. Well, oh yes, you mean why do I pretend? Well, it's very simple. Some folks don't like the way I live. Now, I could say, the hell with them. I don't care if you don't like it. I do say I don't care if they don't like it right enough, but I don't say the hell with them, see? Dill and I said, no, sir. I try to give them a reason, you see. It helps folks if they can latch on to a reason. When I came to town, which is seldom, if I weave a little and drink a little out of the sack, folks can say Dolphus Raymond's in the clutches of whiskey. That's why he won't change his ways. He can't help himself. That's why he lives the way he does. That ain't honest, Mr. Raymond, making yourself out badder than you are already. It ain't honest, but it's mighty helpful. Secretly, Miss Finch, I'm not much of a drinker, but you see, they could never understand. I live the way I do because that's the way I want to live. So it's pragmatic. It's just for the purpose of putting people off, and he's avoiding conflict. But he wants to live that way because he likes black people better. This is going to be important.